going to be talking about today in this video is learning how to identify colors on the skin. For me, learning the color wheel was easy, all right? Seeing that I have done art in the past, I'm a hairstylist, I've used it a lot in my life, so I figured, hey, this is gonna be easy. But the hardest part about Demi, and which is one of the biggest struggles, is learning to identify the colors on your skin. Because like seeing this blue color here, that's not what we're going to be seeing on the face. So learning to identify color is what we're going to be talking about today. So of course the first step is taking a look at your color wheel. And I've got that right here for you, so I'll kind of move up here. So have a look at it, and on one side of the color wheel we have cool colors. On the other side we have warm. Cool colors always come across darker. So as you take a look at the color wheel, you just can glance at that and you know that blue is the darkest color. So after this, we're going to just take a look at my skin, and you can pinpoint the darkest areas of my skin. Automatically, I should know that those are going to be blue because blue means dark. So learning to identify blue, you've got a couple key words that should just hit your mind when you hear blue. I like the words dull. I like the words shadow. That really triggers it in my mind. So as I look at my face, thinking dull areas, shadowy areas, this right here, that looks like a shadow. So automatically that should trigger blue. Something that's dull, over here, it just looks really dull and kind of just ashy blue. Excess blue will be shadowy, dull, and very dark. Blue will most likely be the darkest areas on your face. Now we're going to take a look at the color wheel again. So keep in mind that blue can be a true blue, it can be a violet blue, it can be a green blue. So we have the blue scale on our color wheel, and it can be a sliding scale. So once you pinpoint that you have blue, then you can learn to identify true blue, violet blue, or green blue. So it's just kind of learning that scale, and then once you figure that out, you go to the opposite side of your color wheel here, and that's what you'll be using on those colors. The next color we're going to be talking about is one of my favorite colors, but this color is actually violet. And violet is an interesting color because it's both dark and vibrant, which is pretty cool. And the key word for this, I think of power, because when it's just blue, it's going to be, like I said, more dull. And when it's violet, it's going to be vibrant and dark and just like a power color. So that's how I think of violet in my brain. So to describe violet, violet's a cool color because it takes the stability of blue and the fierceness and the fieriness of red, and violet is right where those colors meet. So that's the description of violet. One common mistake we can get with violet is just thinking that, since it's this way on the color wheel, that it's got to be even darker. But if the color is dull, then it's most likely more of a true blue. But if it has that fieriness to it and it's dark, both colors, then it's going to have a little bit of violet. So looking at my face, we did identify that some of these colors here, like this one there, was blue. But when you look at it, it does have a little bit of fieriness to it. So that we identified it was blue, but then when we were working on which way it went on the scale, as you look closer, let's see here, as you look closer to this spot, you can see that it has more of a fiery color to it, more of a power color. So we know that has a little bit of violet in it. Same for this right here. That color has a little bit of violet there. So you can just kind of look at those colors. Here we're seeing ashy, and this has a little bit more vibrancy to it. So that is going to be violet. The next color we're going to be talking about is green. Green keywords, which should trigger in your mind, is mulchy and muddy. So how do we describe muddy? That's crazy. So how Kara described it to us is like a leaf that's turning from green to brown. That's kind of what it looks like. When you have green, what it is, it's adding in more yellow on our color wheel here. It's adding in more yellow into that pigment, into the blue pigment. And so that comes across, it has more green in it, but green can actually look kind of more brown on the skin, has more yellow, crunchy leaf color. That is a description of green on the skin. So I do have some green, but you have to get up close to see it. So I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it very well. Like right in this line, more so on this end over here, in these melasma spots, right here, and little tiny spots up in this as well have green in them. Like you can kind of see those colors, and it's gonna take time to get used to it. Like when you really zoom in on my skin, that's where you're gonna see the green. And the reason why you have to look harder at that, because like I said, the blue is dark, so you can see those. But when it gets a little bit lighter, especially on my skin tone, the green is a little bit harder to pinpoint, but it can look almost orange on the skin. So you'll see that in melasma, you'll see that in sunspots, aging spots, stuff like that. One area you can really see it on me is right here above my lip. And I think this is kind of more from pregnancy. I don't know, different things. But you can see those little spots right there, and those are green. So for me, the green spots aren't dominant, but on someone with a little bit lighter skin, that could be, essentially, it could be the darkest points on the face. So that's something to keep in mind, that if you have lighter skin, you'll be able to pinpoint those green spots really easily. And for me, it's a little bit more of a difficult thing because, like I said, I have such a combination of the blue mixed in with the green on my skin. So the next color we're going to talk about is red, and red is a very saturated color. When you think of red, the keywords are going to be angry and inflamed. So when you hear red, that's what you're going to think of. When you think of those words, what are usually angry and inflamed? Most of the time, they're going to be a really angry zit. A common mistake with red is thinking that everything is red. So if you have like rosacea on your cheeks, if you have, acne, like I discussed, this one right here actually has very little red. It's not red and angry. And I'll show you a little slide of an example of that so you have an idea. But again, red is like a brand new zit that you've just been picking at. And then day 2, day 3, it's gonna turn over into a violet, and then it'll probably go more blue. So our acne changes, our faces change, the colors on our face change. And so that's what's so cool about Demi, is you can literally adjust and customize your own foundation every day as your skin changes. Okay, let's talk about orange. So orange is actually rare, okay? And when I started doing Demi, I just was looking at my skin and thinking everything was orange. Like I could have sworn $1 million that this line right here was orange, but it was not. The key words for orange should trigger in your mind rare and fiery. And so orange would have to be both vibrant and bright, and that's actually pretty rare on the skin. So common mistakes for orange are thinking that melasma and sunspots are orange, when most likely they're excess green. The next color we're going to be talking about is yellow. And yellow is also really rare on the skin. And a lot of times I think we think things are yellow and it's actually not. So when I think of yellow in my mind, some trigger words, some key words, it's weak and bright. So that's kind of how I think of yellow. And for something to be distracting that's yellow, that thing's gonna have to be really bright. Because of how weak the color actually is, how weak yellow is, it most likely won't be distracting on the skin. And on my skin, I actually don't have any orange and I don't have any yellow. And that's because, again, I have darker skin, and so these colors, they're just not distracting. And if I have any, I don't notice them. So I don't need to use Demi to filter them or neutralize them, because the key with Demi is to only touch the distractions. So keep that in mind, and I hope this helps you learn to identify colors. And so you'll give this a shot. I'm always happy to give you a complimentary Demi color match. I color match for 3D and Demi. So let me know if you need help, and that's it for now. See ya. I like you without the filter.